Welcome in, Big Blue Nation, to another episode of the Cats Talk podcast, a winning edition of the podcast. I'm your host, Cameron Johnston. He is your host, Jacob Boyers. Jacob, the Cats get back into the winning column Saturday, Rupp Arena against South Carolina. Win this game 80-57. And what started off really slow, only 2 points scored throughout the first 5 minutes of this game. And as somebody who bet the over 149.5 for this game, that doomed me for the rest of the game. Just that first 5 minutes, never could come back, even though I had hope the entire time. But unlike most afternoons, Kentucky's defense was able to hold South Carolina to 57 points in what was an ugly game, but Cats showed some defensive strength in this one, and something we haven't seen in quite some time.
Yeah, that first 5 minutes, to your point, was about as brutal of a basketball game to watch from both sides. Neither team looked good. The one bucket was a goaltending, and that was about all we had to kind of get the day started. But yeah, Cats win a game that you absolutely had to have. If they lost this one, you're in conversations of missing the tournament for I think the first time now. You got really just need probably 18 wins to make it, and this one kind of solidifies you're on track. So. Yeah, the defense obviously was huge. 19 points in the first half. I told you I didn't care if they were playing Kentucky Wesleyan. For this team to hold anybody to 19, I think is a huge sign. Ole Miss is a good offense, but not anything like we saw the 51 points. So I think you really see even though he wasn't 100% and wasn't his greatest, especially on the offensive side, you just kind of see the impact that Lamont makes on this team.
Yeah, it really just pushes everybody almost down the depth chart a little bit. Instead of Otega Owe being your primary on-ball defender, now you get Lamont there, and everybody can kind of take a step back. And I think that's kind of what you saw against South Carolina. Helped that, Jamari Thomas was 3 of 12 from the floor and only scored 11 points. He was their second leading scorer going into this game. Good to see the Cats, like you said, 19 at halftime. Because if you would have told me we'd only scored 33 on South Carolina going into half, I might have hit the panic button. Might have had some alarm sound thinking we were probably down by 10 or so, honestly. As I predicted, I expected South Carolina to get into the 80s with this game, just seeing how our defense has been played as of late.
Yeah, I agree. And, I felt, honestly, like Kentucky played pretty bad, mediocre to bad in that first half, right? But at the end of the half, you're still up 14, 33 points, and like we talked about, for over 5 minutes, you were sitting there at 2. So, they kind of turned it on and then obviously scored 47 in the second half. So, really outside that first 5 minutes, I think the offense kind of hit its groove and played well. And then 33 points from your bench. Like, I don't know what the numbers have been this year, but I would imagine there's not been a game where we've had 33 off the bench, maybe outside of the one where Brea had 20-something. But even then, I would be pressed to imagine that they scored 33 off the bench. So I'll take I didn't care how they won this game. I didn't care if they won by 1 or won by 40. You had to win it. And I thought, all things considered, they played pretty well in kind of a sloppy game.
Yeah, that bench, to your credit, the first half, they scored 23 of the 33 points. So where are we without the bench, contributions early in the game? Andrew Carr at halftime had 9, Kobe Brea with 8, and Brandon Garrison with 6. Outside of that, we really didn't get too much scoring, and who knows what this game looks like without the bench threats, at least throughout the first half. They cooled down a little bit towards the end of the game. I do think they ended up with 39 total bench points in this game. So, you saw when you were able to get guys healthy like Lamont, pushing everybody down the depth chart just a little bit, free some guys up like Kobe Brea to be able to, come off the bench and do what he's used to doing, coming and being that scoring threat. And even in this game, he gave you a little something extra that you don't usually get.
Yeah, and you had to have it. Like, obviously it came out Friday that Jackson's wrist was bothering him, and you could just tell. He didn't look comfortable really in any phase of the game. I thought he played pretty well defensively, but on every shot, you could tell his wrist was hurting him. I'm honestly kind of impressed he went 2 from 5 from behind the arc with it, because it felt like every time the camera was on him, he was just grimacing in pain. So, the guys they needed to step up in his absence. You didn't really get anything from Almanor again, but, it probably helps your numbers a little bit having Andrew Carr come off the bench, and then Brandon Garrison obviously played his best game.
Yeah, Brandon Garrison, I mean, obviously we've been giving him quite the hard time as of late. Did
Yep.
step up in this game with 7 of 8 from the floor. So we'll go ahead and talk about him here a little bit. 20 minutes, 7 8 from the floor, 15 points. The part about Brandon Garrison that kills me is in 21 minutes, 1 rebound. Like, you're 6'10, you have to stumble into more rebounds than that. Him and Jackson Robinson played he played more than Jackson Robinson did. Jackson Robinson had 5 rebounds. And at no point during this podcast's history have we talked about how good of a rebound Jackson Robinson is.
Yeah. What honestly kind of shocks me about the rebounding numbers is Amari had 6, and as a team we had 41. So, I mean,
Yep.
I know BG didn't really give you anything on the glass, but outside of that, everybody else kind of did more than what they typically do, especially from all your guards. So, I think like this team's obviously the best. We see it when the guards are rebounding. They had 19 assists to 9 turnovers. Like as much as like we can look at like 3-point numbers with this team, I think more so like those are the kind of numbers you can really dive into. I think if you look at a lot of our big wins this year, we had guard rebounding and a good assist to turnover ratio.
Yeah, and especially, I mean, think about guard rebounding. A lot of it just becomes effort based, and you
Yep.
saw a lot more effort from those guys. I mean, Trent Noah in 13 minutes had 5 rebounds. Kobe Brea had 5 rebounds in 30 minutes. Jackson Robinson 5 in 30. Otega Owe hit the glass pretty well and had 4 rebounds as well. I mean, when these guys are giving effort, especially on the defensive side of the ball, working, making teams have tough shots, you're starting to see their ability to rebound and maybe not put as much pressure on Amari to come down with 12 rebounds a game.
Yeah. Yeah, it's needed. Like you've said multiple times over the last few weeks, and I've agreed with you. Like if Amari's not rebounding, this team's just not rebounding. So I mean, to have 41 and him only have 6, it did show. Like these guys, maybe it wasn't the best game offensively, especially in the early of the first half, but their effort was significantly better than we saw Tuesday night against Ole Miss.
Couldn't agree with you more. I mean, especially just coming out of the gates. You saw that intensity. You saw the Rupp Arena crowd get behind the defense, too, when they were playing good defense. I think we actually caused probably our first shot clock violation of the season.
Early in the game, too,
At
right?
least I can remember. So that was good to see. And the fans really got behind him after that. I think the guys kind of rallied behind that a little bit, getting a little extra juice from the crowd.
Yeah, if you just watch their body language on Saturday playing defense, the willingness to play defense, it was night and day, and I don't know if part of it is like Lamont being out there kind of sparks him, or he gets on him, kind of being that veteran leader. But it was like BG, some of his defense, like he was guarding guys out on the perimeter, and I thought he was giving you really good effort and hustle, and you know they were getting to loose balls. I mean, Trent Noah, he'll dive for anything. I feel like he's not scared to go down and get it. But yeah, I really was really impressed with the effort, and like at the end of the day, like that's what you ask for these guys, and especially so many fifth-year seniors, what you expect. I mean, there's going to be nights, right, where your offense just you're not making a lot of shots, and maybe even a little sloppy with the ball. But there's no reason these guys can't give you consistent effort. And I think we saw 40 minutes of very good effort on Saturday.
And that's how you get more minutes from this coaching staff. I mean, you see guys like Trent are trying to, creep into that where they're getting more and more minutes each game. Him getting you 5 rebounds and 5 points in 13 minutes, that stuff is going to earn him more playing time. And even talking about Kobe Brea, 30 minutes in this game might be the most minutes I think I've seen him play outside maybe the last time we played Tennessee when we were down Lamont and Andrew only played 2 minutes in that game. And seeing him give you that type of effort, I mean, let's go ahead and talk about his stat line for the game. 10 points, 5 boards, 4 of 8 from the field, 2 of 6 from the three-point line. And the real big one here, 6 assists. And he just played really solid effort-based defense. And obviously he's not the quickest laterally, but you just saw when this team is willing to give you that full effort, especially a guy like Kobe Brea, who is a big guard, he's able to be at least not a liability defensively when he's given full effort.
Absolutely, and like that's what we talked about after Tuesday night. Like some of these guys, they're just not the quickest, right? Like you can't teach people to be quicker, but like again, Tuesday night, Jimmy Dykes bringing up like you got to have a willingness to play defense. They obviously didn't, especially in the first half against Ole Miss. Saturday, all these guys, and Brea, I feel like, to your point, is the biggest one, just really flipped a switch. Like, do I expect Kobe Brea to be able to go out and guard Cooper Flagg, one-on-one, or even Colin Murray Bowles or whoever else, Jacoby Wright? Like,
Maybe he'll be able to guard Cooper Flagg if it's the last possession of a game. He'll slip and
yeah,
fall.
and he fall. But I get it, right? Like, you're not super quick, but there is just a level of effort, and I thought he gave it to you on both ends. It felt like he was cutting more on Saturday. Um, got a couple, inside, either a layup or I think he hit a little floater at one point. And then to your point, 5 rebounds, 6 assists. Like, the rebounds especially determined, really kind of showcase the effort he brought you on Saturday.
Yeah, I'm not expecting, 6 assists from Kobe Brea every game, but it was nice to see that, once he was able to get off the 3-point line and get inside the paint, how much everybody just collapses around him, creating open shots for a lot of his teammates. Somebody we've kind of been used to doing that as of lately is Amari Williams. Probably his worst game from the field in a while that I can at least remember. 4 of 9 from the field, 10 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 turnovers in only 21 minutes. Seems like they got Amari a little bit more rest, even though he consistently sits around that 20 to 25-minute range. It's a good game from Amari. Nothing crazy in particular. Played really well on the defensive side of the ball, but nothing to write home about.
Yeah, nothing to write home about, and the guy's sitting there with a plus 32 plus minus. So like he obviously still impacted the game, I think, in a lot of really positive ways. Had that and one, and I think he stared at the South Carolina player for minimum 15 seconds. So I love to see that from Amari. Yeah, Amari, another guy, like, every day it felt, or every game it felt like we were talking about his, playing his best game as a Cat. Just really since SEC play, man, he's really turned on his effort. And, like, again, I'm not a guy that's gonna, stat book watch or anything like that. 4 of 9, 10 points. It's not like he lit the game on fire, but he was out there giving consistent effort and energy for that 21 minutes. And I, especially being the starting big, like, he's the guy that I feel like really just kind of gets it going, especially on the defensive side. And, he'll grab a big rebound, and it just feels like everybody kind of feeds off that energy. So, again, I don't think he played like phenomenal or anything, but at the end of the day, a plus 32, plus minus, and I thought he gave you a lot of really good effort.
Amari has been very consistent, especially in the effort department as of late, like you mentioned, since SEC play. Somebody who it seems like is giving you the effort, but it's just not reaping any rewards and may warrant, with Andrew Carr getting more and more healthy, starting to play more minutes. Ansley Almanor, scoreless once again in this game, 0 for 2 from 3. Was able to get you a stat, at least in this game, where he had 2 rebounds and an assist.
He at least took a shot, even.
One went off the side of the backboard, so you can tell Ansley's confidence is kind of shaken at the moment. But just speaking on Ansley and what he's done the last couple of games, and Andrew Carr's, getting healthy and looking a little bit more comfortable, are you expecting a lineup change to go back to what we saw earlier in the season?
Yeah, I think so. Carr played 14 minutes here. I guess it's really just how much can he give you with his back. But if Andrew Carr's 90%, I think he's your starting 4, and the 4 that's playing the most minutes. Let's be real. Ansley played a lot of good basketball, but like, it was still games where he would only take 4 or 5 shots. He just happened to make 3 of them. So like, that obviously helps the stat book and look a little better. Ansley, I just kind of feel like he is what he is. He's going to take 2 to 5 shots a game. Hopefully he makes them, and he's going to grab his 2 rebounds. I swear, every game it's 2 rebounds, not one more, not one less. So, I didn't feel like he played bad. To your point, he was another guy that gave some solid effort. Just obviously the shot didn't go in, and one of them was really bad.
Yeah, off the side of the backboard. Hopefully we can start to get that, because earlier in the season, Ansley didn't have that confidence and wasn't making anything. And then he just went on that run where he was going, 4 or 5 from 3, 4 or 5 from 3. And then it just keeps like, he just doesn't have the confidence game in, game out. Hopefully that starts to change here coming up with Tennessee coming into town on Tuesday. Yeah. But, talk about somebody who you just expect to give you 10-plus points in a game. Still, every game this season, he scored over 10. Otega Owe, I thought this is one of his best games we've seen from him in a while. You and I have been critical of him as of late, and this game was exactly what we wanted him to do. I told you I don't want him taking more than 10 shots because normally if he's taking 10 shots, he's just forcing stuff up, and hopefully we're getting offensive rebounds, which we're not great at as a team. But 6 of 10 from the floor, 1 of 2 from 3. I think last 3 games now he's 3 for 5 from 3, so it looks like that 3-point stroke is starting to come back a little bit. 17 points, 4 rebounds. Was able to give you 2 steals and played solid defense in this game. What did you think about Ortega's game on Saturday?
Agree completely. He played really well Saturday. Probably the best player on the floor, and to your point, 17 points on just 10 shots. Like, that's the Ortega we need. He even hit a 3. Hopefully, he can finally start to get some of that confidence back and shoot that like he was early in the year. But yeah, it didn't feel like where we felt at Ole Miss and the game before, with Arkansas. Like, he wasn't forcing everything. Like, it was kind of coming to him. A lot of his layups were coming off of backdoor cuts. I thought he played really well and played within the offense. And 6 of 10, I feel like, is the perfect number for him. Like, keep it under 10, and then he goes 4 for 4 from the line. So, yeah, thought his best game probably in quite some time.
Something, I'd mentioned to you, I don't remember if it was on podcast or off the air. It just seems like Ortega plays so much better when Lamont is on the floor.
Absolutely.
Jackson is the complete opposite, is kind of what it seems so far, at least, through limited sample size. But, let's go ahead and talk about Lamont, because obviously we talked about his presence being felt, at least on the defensive side of the ball. 8 points in this game, 2 of 5 from the field. And I want to say all 3 of them were missed wide open layups, which is kind of just a Lamont Butler effect that you get. But was able to give you 3 assists and a steal. Did have 3 turnovers, was a little careless with the ball at certain points in this game. But for his first game back, I'll take it because you saw just the energy he gave the guys, especially in the first half.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, not like his greatest game, not a game that, we're going to write home about with Lamont, but the guy has been out for, 2 weeks now, or at least battling an injury for a week or 2 before that. So you could tell he's still not 100%, but even if that's what Lamont's going to give you the rest of the way, you sign up for it and you take it, because you just see the energy, the defense. It's all so much better with him out there versus when he's not. And, no offense to the kid, but, you're able to limit Travis Perry to under 2 minutes in this game. Travis Perry and Colin Chandler don't get in until garbage time, and I just think you really can kind of see the rotation that Pope wants to run, and like Lamont's just so key to that.
Yeah, well, hopefully you got enough look of the rotation that Pope wants to run, because unfortunately it looks like we're not going to be getting that Tuesday against Tennessee. But, sticking on that theme here, Jackson Robinson, he's going to be doubtful for that game. Let's go ahead and get into he was probable coming into this game, questionable, and you could just tell throughout the entire game. He was grabbing the wrist, doing the little hand over, doing this most of the game. 2 of 8 from the floor, 6 points. Able to grab you 5 boards and 4 assists with no turnovers. I thought he actually played really well in the 20 minutes that he gave you. Solid on the defensive side of the ball. Shot just wasn't falling, and I'm sure a good amount of that can attest to the wrist.
Yeah, and like with him, it's not, you see guys sometimes like play with their hand, play with their wrist, try to keep it loose or whatever. You can tell it's bothering them. He was like grimacing in pain multiple times. Like, you could see it on his face. Like, he was not comfortable. And for him to go out there, play as well defensively as he did, and then grab 5 rebounds, he shot 2 for 8. I don't really care. With his wrist, it obviously, just wasn't a game that he was going to be able to really go out and light it up. Honestly, the kid showed a lot of toughness just to play Saturday and then to go out there and grab 5 rebounds with that wrist.
Yeah, and we keep playing Tennessee not at full strength. It looks like we're going to be doing that again, unfortunately.
Bring
it. We only got 2 minutes of Andrew Carr in that game. We're going to have a lot more of them in this game. And the game against South Carolina, 14 minutes, played 10 of those in the first half, so only 4 minutes in the second half. I think Pope, kind of saw the lead get out there, started the pulling back a little bit, not necessarily risk it, which is something I think he should have done with Jackson, because I think Jackson played until almost like 5 minutes left in the second half. But Andrew Carr has 9 points, 3 rebounds, and shoots 3 of 5 from the floor. And, you saw that three-pointer finally go in. What do you think about Andrew Carr, and how excited are you to see him almost at full strength against Tennessee, since we only got 2 minutes of him last time?
Yeah, Carr, I mean, he feels like he's just so consistent in this offense, right? Like he's going to go out there and, give you 9 to 10 points. It felt like when he was healthy in the year, we would always talk about like he's just quietly going to go out and, give you double digits and grab a couple rebounds. And at some point late in the game, he's going to have a, little spin post move where he gets fouled and hits a big and one when the team really needs it. He's been one of my favorite players all year. I'm happy to see him kind of start to get healthy. I mean, he was your offense in that first half. 33 points, and he's got 9 of them. Only playing 10 minutes. Like, we couldn't get anything going. The offense kind of changed a little bit when he came in. And then to your point, only 4-ish minutes in the second half. And I think, again, as you alluded to, the Cats started to pull away. No sense. Let them keep that heating pad on and get them ready for Tuesday night, because that's going to be a huge game inside Rupp.
Yeah, it was so nice to see, us be able to not play some guys and still keep the lead at bay throughout most of the second half. Really never got close once, we stopped at that 33-19 halftime lead. It was good to see, even when we were mixing guys in, getting like Kobe Bryant more minutes, Ansley playing a lot, Andrew Carr got to sit, Brandon Garrison giving you good minutes. It was really good to see, because lately we've been talking about, man, these starters can't come off the floor, or else, it's just an instant 10-0 run in the opposition's favor. How impressed were you with this bench and their ability to be able to not only keep South Carolina at bay, but able to score and really be the entire offense for the first half for the Cats?
Yeah, it's definitely impressive. Like, to your point, we're usually scared when the bench comes in and, it's a 10-0 run the other way. I mean, the game kind of changed when we put in a lot of the bench, right around that under 16 timeout. Pope starts to look to make some switches. We had 2 points at that point. And then BG and Andrew Carr, I thought, were huge for you, especially early. So I can't say enough good things about the bench. I still don't know if that's like a huge recipe for success. Part of it is you have Andrew Carr, who probably is a starter coming off your bench in this one. But, I mean, it felt like this was a game where they came out, and when they were coming in, they had a ton of energy. And they weren't going to let the narrative of just, the bench is going to come in and give a 10-0 run last for this one.
Yeah, can we get the starters to get off to a hot start? When's the last time we've looked at this team and, these starters, I mean,
I don't want to say it. Yeah, I was going to say Arkansas. I mean, that place was rocking. They were up 18-12, and the bench, we know what happened after that. But
yeah, it seems like they're either cooking on all cylinders on the offensive end for the first 4 minutes before we get some substitutions, or they just can't get a stop at all and they're not scoring on the offensive end. Yeah. I'd love to see this team just go out, 12-4 run to start a game, because it feels like it's been such a long time since we've been able to put a run like that to start the game. And, outside of this game, so I know I'm talking about, past games here, I'm tired of going into halftime with almost a double-digit defeat. And I feel like Tennessee come into your house, they want payback for what you did to them in Knoxville. I think they're going to come out with a little bit of, guns a-blazing. They're going to play more of their style of basketball and not shoot 40-something threes this time.
They're going to try. But, I mean, if Pope plays a similar game plan, I mean, I think you kind of take what the defense gives you. So we'll see. But, yeah, I don't expect them to shoot 40 again. I don't know what to say about the slow, sluggish starts. I don't get it. To your point, it does feel like it's every game outside of really that Arkansas. But I mean, even when we scored 106 and beat Florida, like if you remember, we were down 13 early in that game and came back. So I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know why it happens. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, right now, I mean, let's just talk about the SEC in general. You mentioned the Florida game. How about this SEC?
It's absurd.
Florida just takes down Auburn. Arkansas takes Alabama down to the wire after being down almost 20 in the second half. This SEC is just crazy good, and it's so much fun, but at the same time, going in every single Tuesday and Saturday, not knowing if you're going to win, sucks. But I also love seeing the other SEC games being played.
I mean, just look at it across the conference. Like you said, Florida not only beat Auburn, they dominated them. I know they won by 9, but they were up 15-16 for it felt like that entire second half. As soon as Auburn would try to go on a run and cut it to 11, they would get it right back. And then A&M and Missouri played a really good game on Saturday. Like, there's a lot of really good teams in this conference. Ole Miss had like a 2% chance I saw to win at one point. They were down like 61-70 with a minute and a half to go, and they win 72-70. Like, there's a lot of good teams in this conference. Lunardi had 13 teams in as of now, and Arkansas on the bubble, so it's absurd.
Yeah, the SEC has 4 of the top 5 in the AP poll this late in the season. I can't tell you though.
There's college basketball
where that would have happened this late in the season. Auburn's first, Bama's second, Florida's third, and Tennessee, who we play tomorrow, is 5th. I mean, it's just absurd, the strength of this conference.
I mean, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but, like, let's just play hypothetical. If Duke was to lose another 2 games and Auburn, Florida, Bama, and Tennessee all finish strong, and Tennessee, comes into Rupp tomorrow and wins, like, there's a world where there's 4 number 1 seeds all from the same conference. Obviously, I don't think it happens. I think Duke gets one of those, and probably Tennessee if anybody kind of fades out of there. But, I mean, it's February 10th, and we're talking about the possibility of having 4 of the top overall seeds.
Yeah, I mean, that's really not even including the 8th overall right now in Texas A&M. Obviously, they could go on a run. And that's, 5 of the top 10 and 4 of the top 5. It's just absurd for the conference. Kentucky's got number 5 coming in on Tuesday. We're going to get to our predictions. Obviously, Cats beat them in Knoxville. Jacob, obviously, you got bad news for me regarding Jackson Robinson. We've kind of talked about it throughout this pod. Let me know.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't me that said it, but Pope said it, I guess, the coach's show was tonight.
No, you told me. You were the one that gave me the bad news.
Yeah, well, I took it from other media reporting it based on the words that Mark Pope spoke. So, but yeah, Pope said he doesn't expect Jackson to play tomorrow. To be honest, I don't know how you could after you watched him Saturday. We both said we were kind of surprised he played Saturday. And, I mean, this team, it's just another game where their back's against the wall. I'm going to pick them to lose when we get to that point, but, like, who knows, man? You could come out there and you could have another Lamont versus Louisville game. You could have Ortega go for 25. Andrew Carr could go out and have 25 and you win. Like, not putting anything past these guys. But, yeah, without Jackson, you obviously are going to see the offense take a pretty big hit. And guys like Kobe Barea and Trent Noah off the bench, they're going to have to give you some offense.
Yeah, I don't remember if you remember, our talk about the Tennessee game before that game happened. I said you needed 45 from Ansley, Kobe, and Jackson. You had 47 in that game. You take Jackson out.
Well, now you got to switch it a little bit. You probably need 3 of, Carr, Brea, Almador, Butler, somewhat in that order to kind of combine you for around that 45. So you're going to need 3 of those 4 to play really well.
Yeah, and I kind of feel like a broken record saying it, but somebody's out again. We're going to have somebody else step up. And that was having a great game from Ansley, Jackson. Yep. Even though Tega had 14, Kobe played well in that game. And that's not even including Amari Williams having 10 and 15 in the last game against Tennessee. And we didn't score a field goal in the final 5 minutes of that game. I'm going to be right there with you. I don't think we're going to be able to get Tennessee twice and get the sweep this year.
Well, you're going to have to – it's going to have to be a very overall team effort, right? If there was one player on this team you think would just go out and light it up for 30, that guy's not playing on Tuesday night. So you're going to have to get just a collective team win. But, like, to this team's credit, they've done it multiple times in situations where we didn't feel like they could. So I'm not saying they're going to. Tennessee is obviously really good. If they just went and blew out Oklahoma, and then you look at it like they got dismantled by Florida, came back and dominated Florida a couple weeks later. I don't know. It'll be interesting. This is going to be the first team, obviously, we're seeing twice. So, who's got the upper hand? Will it be Pope? Will it be Rick Barnes? I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see it and see it play out.
Yes, since we've played Tennessee, they've played 3 games in which they beat Florida by 20,
Yep.
beat a ranked Missouri, and then they beat Oklahoma at Oklahoma. So it seems like they're finally starting to catch their stride. And obviously, they got to play Florida twice. So you saw them win that second game. I'm worried it's going to be something like that where they're going to be able to find ways. I mean, Rick Barnes is a good coach. I think he'll find ways defensively, especially without Jackson posing that big of a threat. Because what you do gain defensively with Lamont being back, you're going to lose offensively with Jackson being out. I know I said it the last time when they ended up beating Tennessee in Knoxville. I don't see him winning this game, but can you paint me a picture of what you think this team needs to get this win? What stats do you need from what guys? Who do you think's got to step up mainly to get this team a win on Tuesday?
Yeah, absolutely. I want to be clear. There is a path for Kentucky
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Mhm.
I do think it's gonna take one of your guys. It'll probably have to be Ortega. Is gonna have to probably score around 20, and then you really just need keep. Are we gonna be shocked if Amari goes out there and has 15 and 10 and a couple blocks? Like that's something that changes a game. It's going to have to be much more of a team-based effort, and I think the score is going to have to reflect kind of what it was in Knoxville. We're going to have to get close to 80 again, get their offense to have to click on all cylinders to beat us. And then another world where just Tennessee comes in and shoots horrific. I mean, it's not like this is a great offense we're going up against. You got Lamont back. I think Lamont could eat Ziegler's lunch if he's healthy on the defensive side. So I don't know. There is a real path out there for Kentucky. I mean, I'm gonna pick Tennessee just because it feels like every time we kind of pick these games and we pick against them, they go out and win. So
Yep.
I'm gonna try to keep that train rolling. But I would not at all be surprised if Kentucky won. And I mean, I'm honestly kind of thinking they are gonna win. but I'm gonna pick Tennessee.
Yeah, what I've seen from Tennessee the past 3 games, it really hasn't looked anything like that team that we watched in Knoxville. And the path to victory, I think, for these Cats, I think, without being said, Amari has to have a double-double. This is a physical Tennessee team who rebounds well. So I think Amari does have to have almost that 15-plus rebound game like he had last time they were there. And last game, we were actually able to beat Tennessee with backdoor cuts, with
Yep.
ball movement, without shooting from three. I think Tennessee's going to be willing to adjust to that. We've got to get up more threes than 23 like we did last time when we played them. I think for this team to win, I think they've got to at least hit 13 threes in this game to win. I think they get to that number and they're able to rebound well without getting, dismantled on the defensive glass or offensive glass. I think they do have a real shot. I'm going to pick Tennessee to win. It's going to be close. I'm going to say it ends up being 76-72 Tennessee, but there's a very likely world where I see Kentucky winning this game. And I kind of think I'm like you, where the more and more I talk about it, I kind of not necessarily expect Kentucky to win, but it's not as outlandish as we thought the game was when they played them in Knoxville and got the win.
Yeah, and just a couple real quick points before I make my score prediction. The thing to watch is obviously going to be how do we defend Lanier? I know we did a pretty solid job against him in Knoxville, but Jackson Robinson at times can be a very good defender. But you get Lamont back, so Ortega might be able to slide over there and take him a little bit. Ansley at times. I don't really know what the matchup there is, but if you can kind of hold him in check. The other part of this, Florida doesn't really have a great road win this year. If you look at their schedule, 3 of their 4 losses were all on the road. Probably their best road win was early in the year when they beat Illinois, and that was on a last-second shot. That was the game we were watching after the UK Louisville game, and they win it on a buzzer beater. So that's part of it too. Rupp's going to be rocking. I'll pick Tennessee. I'll say 77-76. So a 1-point game, and then the Cats MVP because I think he's going to have to play well. Give me Andrew Carr.
Yeah, I will have to get to my MVP pick. I kind of skated over that there.
Yeah.
Man, it's weird because, you keep saying like the same guys over and over again, but I kind of want to get something fresh here. Just talked about how he hasn't scored in 2+ games. I'm not going to give him full MVP picks, but I do
That's
think
fine. You could say he's kind of the breakout player with
a breakout game. I'm going to say he knocks down at least 4 triples in this game. Take the Ansley over on threes. Guess what? When they're going to sag off, when Ortega and Lamont hit the lanes here, Ansley's going to be in that corner. He's done hitting the backboard. That was against South Carolina. We're not hitting the backboard in this game. I think Ansley has a pretty good game, at least an efficient game from 3, and that's kind of what pushes us over the edge. And hopefully, like you mentioned, you get a game from Tennessee where they shoot 11 of 45 from 3. I mean, Chaz Lanier was 3 of 10 from 3. And if Zakai Ziegler wants to shoot 11 threes again, I mean, I'd let him shoot them. Him and Jordan Gainey, sorry. I mean, those two were, 3 for 19 between the two. Let them shoot. They're both under 33% three-point shooters for the year. Sometimes we live by that and die by that. Arkansas game kind of killed us. Tennessee game, it won us that game. Vanderbilt game, it lost us. So, I mean, we're seeing it go both ways. Sometimes you got to live with it. We'll see how it gets to at halftime. Maybe we can make adjustments there, but hopefully Tennessee shoots poorly and we shoot well.
Against this Tennessee team, again, I said it after the game in Knoxville. If they come out and they light you up from behind the arc, you just shake their hand and say it's not your night. And I feel like that's got to be the game plan again. But I am really excited. We didn't get it in Knoxville. I'm really excited to see this Lamont Butler-Ziegler matchup. I think Ziegler is one of the most overrated players in college basketball, honestly. And I'm excited to watch Lamont guard him tomorrow. But real quick, to your point of Ansley, if he hits 4 threes, I feel like this team wins because I feel like that means the offense is kind of flowing. And if you tell me right now he's going to make 4 threes, I feel like the Cats win.
Yeah, well, let's hope that's what Ansley does. Jacob, you got anything else before we sign out here?
I don't. I think we got it. Let's all get loud tomorrow. Me and you are going to be watching it together. We'll have a few beverages on a Tuesday night and eat some food and hopefully watch the Cats get a good win.
Yeah, my worst nightmare is drinking with you on a Tuesday night, but here I am, all because the Cats play the Tennessee Volunteers. Obviously,
we'll behave.
Top 15 matchup. Number 5 comes into Rupp Arena to face the Kentucky Wildcats, who swept to 15 in this week's AP polls. But guess what? With the win at Tennessee, we're going to shoot right back up those polls. Let's hope the Cats get a win Tuesday. Let's hope Zakai Ziegler shoots another 11 threes. That's it for the Cats Talk Pod. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. We're on Spotify, YouTube, and Amazon Music. Go Big Blue.
Go Big Blue.